At the gym, a 30-year confession slipped out, and it wasn't meant for my ears. She went to the gym that Tuesday afternoon only to clear her mind, to escape the mounting stress of work deadlines and family obligations through the mindless rhythm of running on a treadmill. Just another ordinary workout session at the fitness center she'd attended for years, surrounded by familiar faces doing their usual routines. But that day, everything changed in a single devastating moment. While adjusting her wireless headphones between songs, during that brief silence when she could hear the ambient sounds of the gym around her, she overheard her best friend's husband, Marcus, a man she had known for nearly 3 decades, a man she considered family, whisper a confession into his phone that he clearly thought no one could hear over the noise of clanging weights and running machines. A confession about a choice he made 30 years ago that had altered the course of multiple lives. A confession that involved her directly in ways she never could have imagined. Her heart slammed violently against her chest as she realized he had been carrying a devastating truth for 3 decades, hiding it carefully behind friendly smiles and casual conversations. A truth that could destroy more than one marriage if it ever came to light. A truth that explained so many small inconsistencies she'd noticed over the years, but had always dismissed. And the worst part, the absolutely terrifying part that made her blood run cold? The moment their eyes met across the crowded gym, the instant Marcus looked up from his phone call and saw her frozen on the treadmill staring at him in shock, she understood with absolute clarity. He knew she had heard everything. He knew his 30-year secret was no longer hidden, and neither of them had any idea what would happen next. Before I tell you what confession this woman overheard, and how it completely destroyed her understanding of her entire adult life, you need to stop everything and subscribe to this channel immediately. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the notification bell because this story is going to take you on a journey so shocking you won't believe it's real. I share true stories about secrets, betrayals, and the hidden truths that change everything every single week, and this one will leave you absolutely speechless. Smash that like button right this second because your engagement helps these powerful stories reach people who desperately need to hear them. People who are living with secrets that are destroying them from the inside. Drop a comment telling me, have you ever accidentally overheard something that completely changed your understanding of someone you thought you knew? This is a true story that happened 3 months ago, and I promise you that what you're imagining right now is not what actually happened. The truth is far more complicated and devastating than anything you're predicting. Stay with me until the very end because this story will haunt you. My name is Vanessa. I'm 52 years old. And 3 months ago, I accidentally overheard a confession at my gym that revealed a 30-year secret involving me, my best friend Sarah, her husband Marcus, and a choice that was made before any of us were married. To understand the full impact of what I heard, you need to understand the relationships and history involved. Sarah has been my best friend since college. We met freshman year, became inseparable, lived together for 3 years, stood in each other's weddings, raised our children together. She's the sister I never had, the person I trust more than anyone except my own husband. We've shared everything for 30 years. Our dreams, our fears, our struggles, our triumphs. If you're already hooked on this mystery, hit that like button right now and comment Gym Confession, because what Vanessa discovers will absolutely shock you. Sarah met Marcus when we were 22, just out of college. They dated for 3 years and married when we were 25. I was her maid of honor. Marcus seemed perfect for Sarah. Stable, kind, ambitious. He became part of our extended friend group, someone I saw regularly at dinners and gatherings and holidays. For nearly 30 years, Marcus has been like a brother to me, someone I trusted completely, someone I never would have suspected of hiding anything significant. I met my husband David around the same time Sarah met Marcus. We were all young professionals starting our careers and building our lives. David and I married a year after Sarah and Marcus. We had children around the same time they did. Our families became intertwined, shared vacations, combined birthday parties, kids who grew up together like cousins. It was the kind of deep, multi-generational friendship that defines your entire adult life. But there had always been tiny inconsistencies I'd noticed but never questioned deeply enough. The way Marcus would sometimes look at me with an expression I couldn't quite read, the way he'd occasionally bring up memories from before he and Sarah were together, then stop abruptly as though he'd said too much. The way Sarah would sometimes make odd comments like, "I'm so glad everything worked out the way it did," without explaining what she meant. Small things that seemed insignificant in isolation, but would later take on devastating meaning. Subscribe right now, because what Vanessa overhears at the gym connects all these small inconsistencies into a shocking truth. That Tuesday afternoon, 3 months ago, I went to the gym around 2 p.m., my usual time. I was on the treadmill running with my wireless headphones, listening to my workout playlist. The gym was moderately crowded. Enough people that there was ambient noise, but not so packed you couldn't find equipment. I'd been running for about 20 minutes when my headphones died unexpectedly. The battery I thought I'd charged overnight was completely drained. I pulled them off, frustrated, planning to cut my workout short and head home. That's when I heard Marcus's voice. He was about 15 feet away, standing in a corner near the weight machines, talking on his phone. His back was to me, and he was speaking quietly, clearly trying not to be overheard. But in the moment between removing my headphones and the gym's ambient noise, his words carried perfectly to where I stood frozen on the treadmill. "I know, Mom. I know I should have told her 30 years ago," Marcus was saying, his voice strained with emotion. "But I made a choice, and I've lived with it every day since. Vanessa never knew. Sarah never knew the full truth. And it's eaten me alive for 3 decades. My heart stopped. He was talking about me, about Sarah, about some truth we didn't know. I should have made noise, should have announced my presence, should have walked away. But I stood there paralyzed, unable to move, unable to stop listening. I was in love with Vanessa first," Marcus continued, "and my entire world tilted violently. Before I ever asked Sarah out, I met Vanessa at that party junior year of college, and I fell for her immediately. But she was dating David already. They seemed so perfect together. So I never said anything, never told her how I felt. Leave a comment saying, 'In love with Vanessa,' if you're absolutely stunned by what Marcus is confessing right now." I couldn't breathe, couldn't process what I was hearing. Marcus had been in love with me 30 years ago, before he dated Sarah? None of this made sense. I had no memory of Marcus being interested in me. We'd been friendly acquaintances in college, but nothing more. Or so I thought. Marcus's voice continued, cracking with emotion. "Then Vanessa and David got engaged, and I was devastated, Mom. Completely devastated. I knew I'd lost my chance forever. That's when Sarah started showing interest in me, Vanessa's best friend. And I knew it was wrong, but I thought maybe if I dated Sarah, I could stay close to Vanessa, could still be part of her life even if I couldn't be with her. No. This couldn't be what I was hearing. Marcus had started dating my best friend to stay close to me, had built a 30-year marriage on that foundation. I never meant to fall in love with Sarah, Marcus said, and I could hear tears in his voice now. But I did, genuinely did. She's an incredible woman, and I love her with everything I have. But I've always carried the guilt of knowing our relationship started because I was trying to stay connected to her best friend. Started because I couldn't have the woman I really wanted. My hands gripped the treadmill handles to keep from collapsing. Marcus had loved me, had dated my best friend as a way to stay in my orbit, and neither Sarah nor I had known any of this for 30 years. The worst part is Vanessa still doesn't know, Marcus continued. I've kept this secret perfectly hidden for 3 decades. Every family gathering, every holiday, every time I see her, I have to pretend I never loved her. Have to pretend my friendship with her is simple and uncomplicated. And it's destroying me, Mom. This secret is actually destroying me from the inside. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what happens when Marcus realizes Vanessa heard everything is intense and devastating. I stood frozen on that treadmill, no longer running, just standing there in shock trying to process what I'd heard. Marcus had been in love with me 30 years ago, had dated and married my best friend partially to stay close to me, had carried this secret through 3 decades of friendship and family gatherings, had never given any indication that his feelings for me had been anything other than brotherly affection. Then Marcus ended his call with his mother and turned around, and our eyes met directly across the gym. I watched the color drain completely from his face as he realized I was standing there without headphones, realized I'd heard everything he'd just confessed. For a long moment, we just stared at each other in absolute horror. Then Marcus walked quickly toward me, his expression panicked and desperate. "Vanessa," he said quietly when he reached my treadmill. "How much did you hear?" "All of it," I whispered, my voice shaking. "I heard all of it, Marcus. You were in love with me 30 years ago. You dated Sarah to stay close to me." Marcus looked like he might vomit. "I can explain." "Please let me explain. It's not as bad as it sounds." "Not as bad?" I cut him off, my voice rising despite my attempt to stay quiet. "You married my best friend while secretly in love with me? You've been lying to both of us for 30 years? How is that not as bad as it sounds?" "I fell in love with Sarah," Marcus said desperately. "My feelings for you were a crush that I got over. Sarah and I built a real marriage based on genuine love." "Please, Vanessa, you have to understand. I'm not still in love with you. I haven't been for decades. I love my wife. But the guilt of how our relationship started has been eating me alive, and I needed to tell my mother the truth. Share this video immediately if you think Vanessa deserves to know the complete truth about how Sarah and Marcus's relationship really started." "Does Sarah know any of this?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Does your wife know you started dating her because you couldn't have me?" "No," Marcus admitted, looking devastated. "She thinks I was genuinely interested in her from the beginning. She doesn't know I had feelings for you first. And she can't ever know, Vanessa. It would destroy her. It would destroy our marriage. Please, you can't tell her." I stared at Marcus, this man I'd considered family for 3 decades, and realized I didn't know him at all. "I need time to process this," I said. "I can't talk to you right now. I can't even look at you." I grabbed my things and left the gym, my workout abandoned, my mind racing with implications I couldn't fully process. For the next week, I avoided both Sarah and Marcus, made excuses for why I couldn't meet for our usual coffee dates, told Sarah I was dealing with a work crisis, but I couldn't avoid thinking about what I'd heard. Couldn't stop analyzing every interaction I'd had with Marcus over 30 years through this new lens. Had there been signs? Moments when his feelings had shown through? Or had he hidden it so perfectly that there was nothing to see? I also had to figure out what to do with this information. Did I tell Sarah that her marriage started with Marcus being in love with someone else, specifically her best friend? Did I keep the secret and become complicit in the deception? Did I confront Marcus and demand more answers? Every option felt wrong and damaging. Subscribe and turn on notifications because Vanessa's decision about what to do with this information will surprise you completely. 2 weeks after the gym incident, Marcus showed up at my house unannounced. My husband David was at work. We sat in my living room, the air thick with tension and unspoken implications. "I need to explain everything properly," Marcus said. "I need you to understand the full truth, not just what you overheard in that phone call." "I'm listening," I said coldly. Marcus took a deep breath. 30 years ago, I met you at a party during junior year of college. You were dating David, but you were kind to me. Talked to me for hours about books and philosophy, and I developed feelings. Strong feelings. But I never acted on them because you were clearly committed to David, and you two seemed perfect together. Then David proposed to you at the end of senior year, and I was heartbroken. Felt like I'd lost something I never actually had. That summer, Sarah, your best friend who I'd met through you several times, reached out to me, asked if I wanted to get coffee. I knew she was interested in me romantically, and I'm ashamed to admit this, but my initial motivation for saying yes was staying connected to you. If I dated your best friend, I'd still be part of your life. Leave a comment saying, "Selfish choice," if you think Marcus's decision to date Sarah for the wrong reasons was deeply unfair to her. But something unexpected happened, Marcus continued. I fell in love with Sarah. Genuinely, deeply in love. Not because she reminded me of you or because she gave me access to you, but because she was amazing in her own right, kind and funny and brilliant. Within months, my feelings for you had transformed into genuine friendship, while my feelings for Sarah became the real thing. By the time Sarah and I got engaged, I wasn't harboring secret feelings for you anymore. I was completely in love with my fiancé, but I carried guilt about my initial motivations for dating her. Guilt that I've never been able to shake completely. That's what I was talking to my mother about. Not ongoing feelings for you, but guilt about how the relationship started. You should have told Sarah the truth before you married her, I said firmly. She deserved to know your initial motivations weren't pure. She deserved the choice of whether to continue the relationship knowing it started that way. I know, Marcus said, tears in his eyes. I know I should have. But I was 24 and scared, and convinced that the truth would destroy something beautiful. So I kept quiet. And now, 30 years later, I'm trapped in a lie I created decades ago. Are you still in love with me at all? I asked directly. Even a little bit? Because I need to know if I can continue being around you and your family. No, Marcus said with complete certainty. I love you as a friend, as my wife's best friend, as someone I care about deeply. But I'm not in love with you and haven't been since those early months 30 years ago. My feelings transformed into genuine friendship very quickly. The love of my life is Sarah. She's the one I chose, the one I want, the one I've built a life with. Please believe that. I did believe him, could see the sincerity in his eyes. But that didn't solve the fundamental problem of what to do with this information. Hit that like button if you think Sarah deserves to know the truth about how her marriage started, even 30 years later. Over the next month, I struggled with the decision of whether to tell Sarah what I'd learned. I talked to my husband David about it, swearing him to secrecy. He was as shocked as I'd been by the revelation. Marcus had feelings for you? David said, stunned. I had no idea. I never saw any signs of that. Neither did I admitted, which means he hid it perfectly, or it was so brief and one-sided that there was nothing to notice. David thought carefully before responding. I think you need to tell Sarah, not to hurt her or damage her marriage, but because she deserves to know the full truth about the foundation of her relationship. If you keep this secret, you become complicit in the deception. And if she ever finds out you knew and didn't tell her, it could destroy your friendship. He was right. As painful as it would be, Sarah deserved the truth. So I asked her to meet me for coffee, just the two of us, somewhere private where we could talk without interruption. I'd been avoiding her for over a month, and she was clearly worried about me. Vanessa, what's going on? Sarah asked the moment we sat down. You've been distant for weeks. Did I do something to upset you? No, I said, my heart pounding. But I learned something that I need to tell you. Something about Marcus. Something that happened 30 years ago before you two were married. I watched Sarah's face shift from concern to confusion to fear. What are you talking about? What did Marcus do? I told her everything. About overhearing Marcus's phone call at the gym. About learning he'd had feelings for me before he ever dated her. About his confession that his initial motivation for dating her had been staying close to me. About the guilt he'd been carrying for 3 decades. Share this video right now if you believe honesty is always better than comfortable lies, even when truth is painful. Sarah's face went through a dozen emotions. Shock, betrayal, hurt, anger, confusion. Marcus was in love with you? She said, her voice breaking. He dated me to stay close to you? Our entire marriage started as some kind of proximity consolation prize? No, I said firmly. That's not what he said. He said his initial interest in dating you was complicated by his feelings for me, but he fell genuinely in love with you very quickly. He's been in love with you, actually in love, for basically your entire relationship. The feelings for me were brief and one-sided, and they ended before you two got engaged. But he never told me, Sarah said, tears streaming down her face now. He let me believe he'd been genuinely interested in me from the start. He built our marriage on a lie, Vanessa. How am I supposed to trust anything now? I don't know, I admitted. But I couldn't keep this from you. You're my best friend. You deserve to know the truth even though it's painful. Sarah was devastated. She confronted Marcus that same evening. They had the biggest fight of their 30-year marriage, according to what she told me later. Marcus admitted everything, apologized profusely, swore his love for her was genuine and had been for decades. But Sarah felt betrayed by the 30-year deception, felt like their entire relationship was built on a dishonest foundation. They went to intensive marriage counseling, spent months working through the betrayal and the lies and the complicated motivations that had started their relationship. It was brutal for both of them, and my friendship with Sarah became strained too. Not because she blamed me. She knew I'd done the right thing by telling her, but because I was inevitably connected to the betrayal. Every time she looked at me, she was reminded that her husband had once had feelings for me, had dated her partially to stay close to me. Subscribe to this channel if you believe the truth is worth the pain it sometimes causes, because the ending of this story proves it. It's been 3 months since I overheard that confession at the gym. 3 months of watching my best friend and her husband try to rebuild trust that was damaged by a 30-year-old secret. The good news is that Sarah and Marcus are still together. The marriage counseling helped them work through the initial betrayal. Marcus took full responsibility for his choices and his deception, acknowledged that he should have told Sarah the truth before they got engaged 30 years ago. Sarah eventually came to believe what Marcus had been saying all along, that his feelings for me had been brief and had transformed into genuine friendship very early in his relationship with her, that his love for her was real and deep and had sustained their marriage for 3 decades, that the foundation of their marriage, while it had a complicated beginning, had been solid and genuine for the vast majority of their time together. My friendship with Sarah is slowly healing too. We've had many long, honest conversations about everything that happened, about how I never knew Marcus had feelings for me, about how I would never have reciprocated even if I'd known because I was in love with David, about how none of this changes our friendship or the decades of love and support we've given each other. It's been hard and awkward and painful, but we're working through it because 30 years of friendship is worth fighting for. As for Marcus and me, our relationship has changed permanently. The easy, familial comfort we used to have is gone. Now there's always this awareness of the complicated history between us, the knowledge that he once had feelings for me that he hid perfectly for decades. We're polite and friendly at family gatherings, but the sibling-like closeness we used to have will probably never fully return. People ask if I regret telling Sarah the truth, if I think it would have been better to keep Marcus's secret and preserve the comfortable illusion we'd all been living with. And my answer is always no. Sarah deserved to know the truth about the foundation of her marriage, deserved the choice of whether to continue the relationship with full knowledge of how it started. Keeping that secret would have made me complicit in the deception, would have damaged my integrity, and potentially destroyed my friendship with Sarah if she'd ever found out I knew and didn't tell her. Leave a comment telling me what you would have done. Would you tell your best friend that her husband had initially dated her for complicated reasons? Or would you keep the secret? The confession I overheard at the gym wasn't meant for my ears, was never supposed to be discovered by anyone except Marcus and his mother, but once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it. Couldn't pretend I didn't know that my best friend's marriage had started with her husband harboring feelings for someone else, specifically me. The truth was devastating to discover, and even more devastating to share, but it was necessary. If this story has affected you, if it's made you think about secrets and honesty and the lies people tell to preserve comfortable relationships, do something right now. Hit that like button so this story reaches more people. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications because I share true stories about hidden truths and complicated relationships every week. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts about whether Vanessa made the right choice. Share this video because other people are carrying secrets that are destroying them, and they need to know that truth, while painful, is ultimately freeing. At the gym, a 30-year confession slipped out. It wasn't meant for my ears, but I heard it anyway. Heard that my best friend's husband had once loved me, had dated her partially to stay close to me, had hidden this truth for 3 decades. And once I heard it, I had to decide what to do with information that would change everything. I chose truth over comfort, chose honesty over preserving illusions. And while it's been painful for everyone involved, it was the right choice, because real relationships can only be built on honest foundations. I'm Vanessa. This is what happened when I accidentally overheard a secret I was never meant to know. The end.